everybody, Craig DeLuz here from the CAL-FFL newsroom in Sacramento, California. Wanted to update you on a recent hearing that took place back on December 16th. The Joint Legislative Audit Committee got together and they talked about an audit that was done of the APPS program. That's right, the Armed and Prohibited Persons list. Earlier in the year, the California legislature approved and the governor signed SB 140, which authorized $24 million to be taken out of the DROS fund in order to address issues with the APPS program. Well, at the same time, the legislature also approved an audit of the APPS program in order to determine why it was so dysfunctional. Check out what she had to say about issues regarding the courts in the APPS program.
As we saw many courts that had very low numbers of individuals who had been reported to justice. There were 34 courts that had real low numbers, so we chose to survey those courts to determine, number one, first of all, were they aware of their reporting requirements? And surprisingly, 29 of those 34 courts were not aware of the reporting requirements. We visited 3 courts, LA, San Bernardino, and Santa Clara, and we found that these courts were not reporting all of the determinations that they should have been reporting. They were reporting, they were aware of the reporting requirements, but unfortunately they were not reporting all the individuals they should have. State law right now says that those reports should be made immediately. What we found when we talked to some of the courts, and certainly the 3 courts that we visited, is their interpretation of that varied. Some courts said that's within 2 court days, some said it's within 7 days. But what we decided to do is test against what their interpretation of immediately was, and we found, again, all 3 courts were not even meeting their own interpretation of immediately.
Can you believe that? 29 out of 34 counties didn't even know they had a responsibility to report. And of those that actually did report, most of them didn't report everything and rarely reported on time, even after they redefined what on time meant. That's unbelievable. Okay, so let's listen in on what the state auditor has to say about the Department of Justice and their role in the APPS process. Now notice that the analysis is broken down into 3 primary areas. The first is their relationship with reporting agencies, mental health institutions, and the courts. The second has to do with the process in which they make decisions as to who should and should not be on the list and the issues related to that. And the last has to do with the huge backlog of analyses that still need to be done to determine who needs to be on the list and who doesn't.
With respect to the Department of Justice, we felt the Department of Justice needed to do a better job of reaching out to courts and educating them of the reporting requirements. With respect to mental health facilities, we identified 22 facilities that had been licensed by the state of California that was not on DOJ's list. We had a variety of concerns with respect to processing. What we were finding is that Department of Justice was not inputting all of the information into its database. Also, some of the key decisions that staff were making as far as the analysis they were doing to determine here's the information we received from the mental health facility, here's this individual in the firearms database, should this person be prohibited, yes or no? And we sampled a few items and we found 3 out of 8 that we sampled that the incorrect determination, they determined the person was not a firearm owner and should not have been prohibited, and that was a mistake. So what we looked for was some type of quality control, supervisory review of perhaps a sample of decisions that staff are making, and we didn't see that. In addition, we found that they were not using all of the information in the database. So if they had partial information, so a partial birth date, maybe the year, but they didn't have the month or the day, they decided not to use that information. So we're encouraging them to use as much information as possible that's in their database. The backlog that we discuss in the audit report is a backlog of persons who are firearms owners where the Department of Justice needs to determine whether or not any of those individuals are a prohibited person. That backlog as of July of 2013 was about 380,000 individuals. What Department of Justice estimated is that they would be able to get through that 380,000 number by 2016. When we looked at their production numbers, for lack of a better terms, we felt that it would take them at least until 2019 to be able to get through this backlog.
I don't know about you, but to me, there's a huge difference between 2016 and 2019, but who knows? Maybe that's just me. Anyway, I hope that you found this informative. Wanted to let you know, if you want to watch the entire hearing, it's about an hour and 15 minutes. All you have to do is follow the link that's attached to this video. Once again, this is Craig DeLuz reporting from Sacramento, and thanks for joining us.